Now let's take a quick look at body mechanics in arms using the channels that we discussed in the earlier videos. So I'm going to animate the shoulder, the humerus, the forearm, and the wrist. We might even take a look at a hand pose, but we'll see how we go with all of this. So this is just a really clean, simple example of how keyframing the right channels on these joints produce nice looking motion. Just make sure everything's zeroed out. All right, so I'm just going to grab the clavicle, the humerus, the forearm, and the wrist, and I'm just going to keyframe the rotates. Let's actually just set up a more natural pose before we do that. So I'm just going to just rotate it down and in. Bring the clavicle forward a little bit. We'll rotate the wrist around like this. So we'll use this as our start pose. I'm just going to arbitrarily keyframe those rotate channels. On frame 20. I think I'm going to lift the shoulder up and make sure I'm in object mode, and then rotate the shoulder forward, and I'm going to bring box person's arm up. See how I'm twisting around to make sure I can get the forearm at a good angle for a wave, but with only using the Z rotate. Just going to pop box person's hand into this waving position. We're just going to take a look at what happens with that translate. We're just going to take a look at what happens just having set those two poses using. So here we have only rotate information for the clavicle on the Y and the Z. We have 3 axes of rotation on the humerus. We have 1 axis of rotation on the elbow. And we have 3 axes of rotation on the wrist. Okay, so let's just see what that looks like. Pretty natural. Let's just tweak this end pose a little bit, see if we can get it feeling a little bit nicer. So I think part of the problem is the pose that I've created here isn't as kind of natural as I'd like it to be. See, I'm flipping into world orientation and back into object orientation for to make some edits. Well, that's feeling way better. Okay, so let's just put a really quick breakdown on the wrist here. I might even just twist the arm down a little bit and see what we've got. That's starting to feel pretty good. Let's see if we can combine it with our spine trick that we just did. Okay, drop box person down a little bit. I'm going to rotate the spine back and then forward here on the torso. Shift it back a little bit. Make them feel a little bit more balanced. And then We get to frame 10. I'm going to push this to a more extreme pose. Forward. Let's see what that gives us. Not bad. Let's try exaggerating this pose a little more. All right. Let's quickly add a hand pose in here. So we're going to follow our hand posing rules that you will learn when we do the full box person layered animation workflow. I'm going to start with my hand pose. Just very simple, basic. Curved, relaxed hand. I'm going to take my outside fingers and just rotate them in a little bit so we can get this nice tapered look. All right. There we go. Put a keyframe on these ones. So remember, with the last two joints of the fingers, we don't need any rotate information here. Okay. So I'm gonna grab all those fingers and just delete these two channels because we don't want keyframe information on that. Okay. Now we've got our wrist breakdown, which we want to add back in here. Sorry, we want to get our wrist breakdown, which I'm just gonna tailor a little more to feel like a more natural pose. And I'm gonna lag my fingers through here. And let's see what that gives us. It's pretty good. Just fix up this guy. Keyframe 20. All right. Very natural arm motion right out of the gate. There are a lot of things we could do to improve this animation going forward. We could favor the breakdown so that it's closer, not in timing, but in pose shape to either of the extremes that's traveling between. That would help us create some more interesting motion. But the thing to really remember with good arm body mechanics is that if you have great torso body mechanics and animation, your character's moving through the space in a really interesting, well-constructed way, that your hand and arm animation will inherit that motion from the rest of the body, and you won't actually have to do crazy amount of work on the arm to get it looking great. So it's just like a final thought on the whole thing. Happy keyframing.